All right, welcome to exercise 5. Exercise 5 is probably my favorite because I am a photographer and we are going to be going in editing photographs using going from Bridge into Photoshop. You could also use Lightroom if you're familiar with it, but we're going to stick with Bridge. So let's open up Bridge. How many of you guys have used Bridge before? Oh, good. Okay, then let me give you a quickie tour. Bridge is pretty great for almost everything. I use it to import my photographs by hitting Get Photos from Camera, which is how you can use this also. This is better than iPhoto in so much that when you use this photo downloader, you are able to pick a source. You're able to pick a location so it just doesn't get stuck in a folder somewhere. You are able to create subfolders. You're able to rename your files because I guarantee you will never be looking for a file named img_2014. You'll never find it. You're never going to be looking for that. You're going to always be looking for Alex's 7th birthday party or, that bachelorette party. You're going to be looking for an event or a trip or something like that. So this photo downloader is great, absolutely great, and I use it for everything. Again, you have the options if you've got a couple of cameras set up. Right now it's picking up my external hard drive. You pick a place, you can rename the files in here, and here's a really important thing. Convert to DNG. We're going to talk a little bit about what a DNG is and what a RAW file and what a JPEG is. And to do that, we are going to navigate to the files for exercise 5. So you can see that you can navigate all over your computer, right through here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my desktop. Wait for it, it's coming. There we go. And I'm going to double click to open test images. And you'll be able to see the test images inside of here. And you'll see that some of them are JPEGs. And what a JPEG is a compressed file. When you take a picture on your phone or on a camera in a JPEG setting, what you are doing is taking the original pixels that are captured and compressing them to be a smaller file. You do lose a little bit of information, and certain things in the camera, such as white balance, sharpness, are applied to that image, and they're stuck to it. However, when you have a RAW file, such as a CR2, which is a Canon version of a RAW file, you capture all of the original picture data without any compression. Nothing is stuck to it, so if you make a mistake with the white balance in camera, you can fix it quite easily. Now, these are CR2s, so they are directly from a Canon. If you had a Nikon, they would be .nef. What a DNG is Adobe's submission for RAW files. It's a universal RAW file extension. And I'm going to grab these. I'm going to see if I can, I wonder if I can convert them to I can actually convert them to DNGs. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to double click. And when I double click, it's going to open in a part of Photoshop that's your camera RAW interface. And what happens a lot of time if you keep the original extension of the RAW and you go from one computer to another, if that computer hasn't been updated, you may not be able to open your files. But a DNG will open on any computer, even if it hasn't been updated. So it's universal, right? So that's what we want to do. Okay, so now, RAW files also automatically open in Photoshop. I'm going to hit Select All and then go down to Save Images. And I'm just going to save them with a DNG extension in the same location. Don't even need to change the name. I just want them to be DNGs. And you'll see down at the bottom that that's remaining. I hit Done. Okay, so now I have it's the same file, but if I was going to lecture in another classroom or I wanted to send the file to someone to make sure they could open it, a DNG is the universal way to do that because that is a digital negative, as opposed to these proprietary, like I said, Canon CR2s. So I'm just going to delete those. You can edit in here off of the CR2s I gave you, or if you have your own camera that shoots RAW, you can bring them in and convert them, okay? Now I have a JPEG. In here, I have 3 additional exposures for HDR, and then I have a couple of images we're going to put together in a panorama, and an image we're going to do basic adjustments to, and some split toning. Right? So in here, you also have something that is very, very cool. You have something called metadata. It will tell you the amount of pixels, the file size, the color space, resolution, the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, or the film sensitivity when the photo was taken, the camera that it was taken on, the temperature of the white balance. All right, what do we have in here? There's the camera data. So this was done. This photograph was shot 6/8/11, normally rendered, white balance, and it was shot on my 7D, and there's the lens I used. This is great as a photographer if you are just learning to make photographs and you take a photograph and you're like, oh, I really love this photograph, but I don't understand how I made it. I don't understand the depth of field, which is the aperture, or the movement, which is the shutter speed. Now you have every single photograph has all of this information tied to it, and that's metadata, and you can find that in Bridge. You can do another cool thing in Bridge, which is sorting. So if I had 200 images, say, I could very easily select all of them, hit the space bar, and then go through and hit any of the numerical 1 through 5 to star it. So if I'm like, oh, this is pretty good, I'm going to give it a 5. This one, not into. I'm going to give it a 2, 2, 2. This one's a bit dark, but I like the composition. 5. I'm going to give that one a 4. Okay. So when you hit spacebar to exit, you'll notice now in the filters, you have 3 that are rated 2s, 1 that is rated with 4, and 2 that are rated with 5. This makes it easy to take hundreds of images from a trip or something and go through and start to look at the compositions and start to organize them.